You have the eye for human weakness, but not the stomach.
What's this about?
Oh, just a feeling I have.
Ouch. When you get those feelings, insurance companies start to go bankrupt.
What kind of music do you usually have here?
Oh, we got both kinds. We got country and western.
Are you the police?
No, ma'am. We're musicians.
It's the Al Travis Show, and it has been a while, but we've got him back. Representative Tim O'Driscoll. How you doing, sir?
Good. Let me introduce myself. Tim O'Driscoll, Minnesota State Legislature. Good to hear and talk with all of you this morning. It's been a while, as you said, Al. Just teasing you a little bit.
No, I love it. We took, you're out every other week or so, and I end up taking a Friday off, and we missed you. And I missed you tremendously. It's been too long. Just a quick side note. I know you're a Viking fan. Is this do or die time for the Minnesota Vikings? You've got the Bears this weekend and Green Bay next. Is this something that we must win?
Yeah, we're moving into a critical part of the season. At this point, gosh, I don't even know if we can talk division championship. We talk about could we get a wild card, right? I mean,
Yeah.
that's where our hopes are being pinned right now. And the next 2 weeks will tell us whether we start saying, well, it's a rebuilding year again for the Vikings, the 17th in a row.
Yeah, no kidding. At some point, we need to be rebuilt. All right, so that's a yes. I'm going to take it. We got to do something here. I want to move on.
Absolutely.
I thought about you yesterday, literally. I was in the garage having a cigar, and I was talking to my kid, who's going off getting his insurance for this first time on his own, right? And we had talked about how this whole Obamacare thing went, try the history of it. And we just got the government shutdown done. The shutdown supposedly was to continue to have the federal government pay down people's health insurance premiums at a level that we threw up at COVID, for heaven's sakes, which has been gone for a while. I bring that up. Anyway, they're letting that go. That's sunsetted. The Democrats voted it to stop in 2020, at the end of 2025. It is. And yet, maybe I'm missing something. You explain this to me. They're saying my premiums are going up. Are they going up, or am I just finally getting to see what they are?
It's some of the subsidies are going away on here, and I want to background for people and just give you the big picture of this.
Okay.
It was Nancy Pelosi and the Democrats, along with President Obama, who, with primarily, if not all Democrat votes, brought us the Affordable Care Act. Now, in parentheses in front of affordable, the word Unaffordable Care Act, right? And it was the Democrats who, when they had control, decided that they were also going to use these subsidies to buy down even further the premiums for people. Now, the premiums are going to be what the premiums are going to be. It's the amount of buy down, right? How much the federal government leans into and makes money available that goes basically from the federal treasury over to the insurance company to bring your premiums down. You don't get to see that. Oh my gosh, here's my bill. Now I apply to the federal government for it. It's all done accounting behind the scenes on that. So people get lulled into the fact that, well, insurance isn't really that expensive. Now, here's the problem that we have. In the state of Minnesota, I carried the bill this year in the legislature with a lot of Democrat opposition to extend Minnesota's reinsurance program. So if you buy insurance through the MNsure program or in the individual market, your premiums are being written down by a 20% subsidy from the state of Minnesota to buy those individual premiums down. What people are seeing if they go to the MNsure exchange or are visiting with folks about what insurance costs would look like for premiums in 2026, what they're seeing is no federal subsidy on there because the law expires 12/31/25.
Yep.
And so you are seeing a realistic market-based what the cost of insurance was. Did insurance premiums go up from 25 to 26? Sure. But the subsidies have also gone away. Last thing, Alan, I'm going to toss it back to you for another question or comment, is I stood in front of additional required mandates in health insurance. And every time we agree to mandates, insurance goes up an additional 5 to 6%. What are mandates? Well, every policy should cover X, Y, and Z in addition to the basic medical health care. What that's doing is inside the policy itself, right, and the premiums that we pay, it's others giving other subsidies in there by paying higher premiums because not everyone needs the different kinds of mandates, cancer screenings, different kinds of things that are in there. So there's an internal subsidy that ratepayers are paying as well.
So let me throw this at you, because this is how I tried to describe it to my son. So let's say it costs $2,000 a month. That is what my health care will cost me. The idea that I thought it was $700 a month because the government was throwing in $13 doesn't mean it wasn't $2,000 a month. They taxed me from my left pocket, put it in the federal government, paid to the insurance companies directly, and then told me, hey, Al, look at the great deal you got at $700. It's in $2,000. The problem with that situation when they set that up, the Democrats, is what I'm saying, is we'll pay the insurance companies directly, is then there's no downward pressure. It's actually upwards. The insurance companies can say, you know what, we didn't make enough money. And as I understand it, they made like 1,000, since Obamacare, they've had 1,000% increase in the money they've made. So they say, guess what, we're going to charge 10% more next year. The federal government says, I don't want the people getting that 10% hit, if you will. We'll pay the extra. There's no downward pressure to say no. The government kicks in. Now the state of Minnesota wants to kick in 20%. It's kind of like when you say there's federal Pell Grants now. We're going to throw federal Pell Grants out. It didn't lower the cost of school for anybody. It raised it. The school said, oh, government's going to kick it in. They raised the price, didn't change the cost out of Al's pocket. No one's mad. It just raises their taxes.
Your assessment is correct. And the thing I'd also like to add to this is why the Democrats are just petrified about these federal credits going away is the veil is being pulled back from the 13 years of the Obama Unaffordable Care Act, costs increasing, and people are now paying closer attention. Here's something else that you and I have not talked about as it relates to insurance usage.
Okay.
The closer it is to free, the more you want to use it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah,
now,
absolutely.
what do I mean by that? Right? If it costs you $2,000 a month in your example, you're going to go, gosh, I'm maybe going to wait one more day to see if the flu clears up before I go to urgent care, right?
Yep.
Or I'm going to, and I'm not saying that people should sit back and go, my gosh, I've got chest pains, I'm feeling faint, maybe I should wait another day. Heavens no, go. I'm talking about all of the kinds of things that might be on the marginal side, right? People go, well, if I go to the emergency room, it only costs me X many dollars in my premiums. That's the most expensive care you can get. Second is urgent care. Third is scheduled care at your clinic.
Yep. Here's another thing that's going to happen. There's two things here. First, the Democrats, it's all in for them now. When we see how much it really costs to have this affordable health care, when everybody is forced to be in the same pool, when you see what that does, there could either be a revolt and we had somebody on this show literally say that it's time for single payer, which is what I believe Obamacare was all about to begin with. Jack this stuff up, get everybody in a pool so that everyone says, no, I can't afford it. Let the government do it. They're all in right now.
Let me tell you what single payer is going to look like. We already have an incubator on that since 1965 in this country, and that would be what we would call, and that's the 60th anniversary this year, happy anniversary Medicare, right?
Yep.
Right now, if you are a clinic or a doctor and you accept Medicare payments, you are accepting less than it costs you. Let me say that again.
Yep.
Less than it costs you in reimbursement from the federal government. You also have the insurance supplements that you can buy out there, but that is the most undercompensated care other than just flat out not pay for what we call charity care, right? People don't have insurance. I can only imagine what the next conversation is going to look like and what the next federal government shutdown would look like related to health care if we had single payer because, well, you can't get this and you can't get that and it must be somebody's fault because I can't see my doctor and you know, it used to be better in the old days. Well, you can't be doing that. And what's happening as well is we're getting more and more doctors and nurses and professionals who say, yeah, I want to go to work and I want to go in the profession. You've got a doctor who's been working 5 days a week who's retiring, being backfilled by a doctor who's working 3 days a week.
Yeah.
Do the math on that one.
And let me tell you this, the other option I think will happen here because the Republicans did take away the penalty for not having insurance. Everybody had to have this. Well, the penalty is you don't have a penalty for not having it. The problem you have is you can't get any other kind of insurance. They're not allowing me to go out and just get catastrophic. That doesn't exist. You have to get these plans that have all this stuff in it. So here's what I think could happen.
Well, those are mandates. Let's call them what they are. Those are mandates.
Okay, so here's the problem. Let's say it's $2,000. I get $2,000 a month. That's what they're going to tell me. I've got to have for my health care, and I've got the $7,000 deductible that I have. So I'm in for $9,000, and I think to myself, I haven't been to the doctor for a long time. I go on my yearly physical. I'll pay for that myself. I will save money. I'm dropping out of the program. As soon as I get, 6 months down the road, 8 months down the road, and I get the cancer diagnosis, right?
Yep.
I can then go sign up for Obamacare because they have to take me with pre-existing conditions. I think you're going to see a lot of people just say, no, thank you. There won't be everybody in the program. It's going to come crashing down, and people will only sign up when they get the big bad diagnosis.
So what needs to happen to fix this is market-based, right?
Yep.
Notice how the federal government isn't in the car buying and selling business, right? They let the private market take care of that. Notice how they're not directly involved in the grocery store business. They let the private market take care of that, right?
Yep.
Why can't the private market take care of insurance? And people are going to say, but that's different. Look at the problems that we have. Those are, to quote a politician from days gone by, those are man-made disasters.
Yeah. Yeah. We got to go to break. I'm with you 100% because I'm old enough to look back and see what I had. The year before Obamacare started, we should also mention Obama, I think it was 2 or 3 years, they taxed Obamacare before it started, so there'd be a pool of money, and there's nothing there. That's why all this numbers going up. But anyway, my point being is, I think it was at $330, something like that, for me and my 3 boys at the time, and I think we had a $3,000 deductible. That's what we were looking for. It went up to $350. I'm like, 15% increase. That kind of sucks, and that's what we were dealing with. I'm at $760. I don't have any idea how much Obamacare kicks in for the subsidies. They don't let me know that. And I have a $7,000 deductible for all 3 of them.
Yep.
The Affordable Care Act has quadrupled the cost out of my pocket. And I'm now sitting here thinking, I'm going to have to get out of insurance. I'm going to have to run the risk of not dying next year.
Well, and people who say, well, gosh, in order to be able to afford the premiums, I have to have a $12,000 deductible. Is that really insurance? And the answer is no. I would agree with that statement wholeheartedly. We need to do, Al, and I know we're up against the break, and let's talk about this maybe after the break.
Let's do that. You hang that thought. Don't write it down. Don't forget it, because I always forget stuff 3 minutes later. Let's go to the break. Come back. We'll talk more, because I think this is really important that everybody understand what's going on, and you're in the mix here. Back after this on the Al Travis Show.
Think about it. Now that school's back in session, how are Minnesota students doing? Not very well. Minnesota ACT scores fell again last year and are the lowest they've been in 10 years. In fact, fewer than half of Minnesota students can either read or do math at grade level. Think about it. We used to brag about our schools. Now we're losing to states like Mississippi. Visit AmericanExperiment.org for more information. Think About It is brought to you by Center of the American Experiment, Minnesota's think tank.
Braver Angels Minnesota is part of a national movement that brings together conservatives, liberals, independents, and others to restore trust, respect, and goodwill in politics. We seek not to eliminate our differences, but rather deal with them head on, with respect and understanding. We do not try to change people's views, but how they view the other side. There will always be differences. Braver Angels Minnesota believes the best way forward is to change how we deal with those differences. Join the civil conversation at mn.braverangels.org.
Easily offended? The Al Travis Show is not for you. The Al Travis Show. All sides are welcome.
And we've got him, our good friend, Representative Tim O'Driscoll, talking the insurance industry. He's in it. He's on the committee to try to work this stuff out. And what we're talking about is the ACA, Obamacare, coming, and it's not coming to a close. The subsidies, the federal government paying down your portion of the bill is going away here at the end of December. Sir, your thought? You were in the middle of something?
So the way to cure this, as I said, is market competition. And right now, one of the ways to do that would be with 50 different states and 50 different insurance ideas.
Yep.
Why can't we buy across state lines? Now, that's something that the state of Minnesota and the federal government need, and I should say all states need to get their act together on. I won't bore you with the details, but there was a law that was passed back in the 1940s called the McCarran-Ferguson Act. It was tested in the Supreme Court that said states control their own insurance, right? Mm-hmm. So we can control what goes on in our borders, which means we could also say you can't buy coverage from an out-of-state carrier. These kinds of things need to be looked at and addressed and opened up. Number two, we have only non-for-profit healthcare companies in the state of Minnesota, I should say,
yep.
Insurance companies. We should also open that up to for-profits. Let them compete head-to-head with one another. More competition does what, Al?
It lowers
prices, doesn't it? It reduces the cost. And that this is why the Marxist stuff that you're seeing about, give everybody everything, basically what we're saying is if the government controls it, the government can tell you it doesn't cost anything because the government's paying for it with your tax dollars. Or it's going to cost a lot more because they're going to give less of your tax dollars to that. They control more of the means of production and the economy, which is not what the government should be doing.
And the government changed it from insurance to whatever your health care is what it is now. If it's insurance, like on your car, right? You buy a car that's already been in an accident, something had a dented fender. You go get insurance for it. They're not fixing the fender because
Correct.
You had it that way. Now, if you show up and you say, hey, I've got an illness of some sort, they have to cover it. You get in, you've got it.
And you can't be excluded for pre-existing conditions, and that's the thing that started driving insurance. And so the idea of you can keep your own doctor, well, we know that doesn't work because of what's that. It didn't increase competition and options for people because in some places in Minnesota you only have one choice if you're buying in the individual market.
Can I talk about that for a second, sir? Because that was my point. So in outstate Minnesota where I live, there are actually two choices. Now I say that there are two companies. They each offer gold, platinum, and silver or whatever it is. But one was almost twice as expensive as the other one. I'm talking to my insurance guy, and I'm saying, what the heck is this about? And there were no doctors in the area and that sort of thing. He told me straight up, he said, the government, Minnesota, wants to make sure people have choices, so they told these companies, you've got to help out. You've got to offer something in every market, even if they don't want to do it. I said, well, who's going to pick the one with no doctors, no hospitals, and it's 3 times as expensive? He said, nobody, but you have the choice, and that's all the government wanted.
Yep.
There's no choice here.
I have been working hard, and I will work hard again next year in the 26th legislative session because we have the split House with 50-50, right? And I'm the co-chair of the Commerce Committee, which in the House, which deals with these kinds of things. And I want to get back, and I want to continue to hold the line on mandates, and I want to continue to get in and undo some of this stuff so that we can have insurance become affordable again. And if you are afraid of your government controlling you and your destiny, give them control over your health insurance. I hate to say it, but Sarah Palin was right when she said we're going to have death panels. Those are kind of like outside of the spotlight right now because we're doing that, a death panel. Well, here's your choice, but nobody's going to take it. Well, we didn't really sit down and say, here's a letter, Al's done, right? He's out of the game. Al's not getting any more treatment. Al can't buy treatment, well, but Al is available for you chose not to buy, right? Somehow that eases our conscience, I guess, as a nation, that we do that kind of stuff.
And again, it's back to everything is covered for everything. It's not insurance. It is another government subsidy. I got to fly, my friend. I appreciate you here. Let's do this. We'll be much closer to this. We'll have many more things to talk about in 2 weeks when you get back. Is that fair enough?
Sounds good.
I appreciate you. Appreciate you a ton. He's Representative Tim O'Driscoll on the Al Travis Show. What's that stutter about?